breaking news on the fake meat forefront. Did you guys hear that Beyond Meat, the plant-based meat company, is involved in 2 separate lawsuits? Let's spill the tea. The first one is for false advertising, stating that they overstate their protein content in their products by over 30%, and that they haven't been following the strict FDA regulations' rigorous testing methods. The second one is that they're falsely representing that their products are free from synthetic ingredients. I just made a video on the ingredient methyl cellulose. Methyl cellulose they put in their products as well. This is a bulk forming laxative that increases the amount of water in your stools and helps make them softer and easier to pass. Stay away from this stuff, you guys.
Yes, have you noticed something? Hollywood stars are now advertising what the World Economic Forum imposed on humanity.
I believe so much in the mission of Beyond Meat that I've stepped in to help with my greatest asset, my taste. This plant-based meat is not only amazingly delicious, but it's also better for you and better for the planet. It's a simple change that makes a really big difference. So good. And now that I'm Beyond Meat's Chief Taste Consultant,
Yes, and at the World Economic Forum, they want to make sure we should be allergic to meat, so we eat less meat. I don't know if you have seen this, very concerning. Before we go into this, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please endeavor to do that. And if possible, it will do you no harm if you share out this video.
So I'll give 2 examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would, it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, you know, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, you know, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance, and some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Yes, to better understand this, ultra-processed food are convenient, long-term shelf life, ready-to-eat, industrially manufactured food with added ingredient or additive, e.g. modified starch, hydrogenated oils that are typically found in fast food restaurants or sold via supermarket. Example are soft drinks, sweet or savory, packaged snacks, processed meat, prepared frozen or self-stable dishes, and more. People suffering from a combination of chronic diseases is a growing health problem worldwide. The findings of this study can inform preventive strategy to improve people's health through dietary recommendations, health policies, and interventions. Okay, now you see exactly what is going on here. At the World Economic Forum, they encourage people like we should eat this processed meat, we should do this. Now this new research clearly tells you the risks attached to some of these things.
Look, they're killing us with the food. There's a study that had recently come out like 2 days ago talking about how processed food caused things in particular like heart disease, early death, cancer, mental health disorders, overweightness or overweight, and obesity, type 2 diabetes. For example, ultra-processed foods are associated with 50% increased risk of heart-related death, 48% to 53% increased risk of not being able to talk, apparently, anxiety and common mental disorders, and 12% risk of type 2 diabetes. Probably isn't horribly new news for you. The ultra-processed food thing is something that we have talked about that I've seen all over this app for quite a while. TikTok does do some good things. It is considered an ultra-processed food. It includes things like packaged snacks, Cheez-Its, packaged cookies, instant noodles, sweet cereals like Kellogg's, ready-to-eat meals. So those are usually like your TV dinners is what they proposed to us back in like the 90s. Remember the TV dinners used to come with that crap ass little brownie, soggy fries. They were gross. They were gross then. But they were so cool that you just ate them because of packaging and marketing. Basically, it's products that undergo multiple industrial processes to make them tasty and shelf sustainable and contain additives like emulsifier, coloring agents, and chemical flavors. Now, this study had stated that ultra-processed food now account for up to 58% of the total daily energy intake in some high-income countries, like the United States. High-income country. But that's for another video. So what is an unprocessed and minimally processed food? Well, these foods are in their natural state or barely altered with vitamins, nutrients still intact. Example would be carrots, avocados, and milk. Milk. Irregularly processed food are foods that are changed from their natural state, usually with an addition of sugar, oil, salt, or other substance. For example, canned tuna and some cheeses. Ultra-processed foods are processed foods that take things a step further, adding ingredients like artificial colors, flavors, preservatives for shelf sustainability, and ingredients to preserve the texture. Ultra-processed food would include like frozen meals, soft drinks, hot dogs, deli meat, fast food, packaged cookies, cakes, salty snacks, plant-based milk, and jarred sauces. The article goes on to state that it is okay to have some ultra-processed food, but the problem is that the majority of people, specifically in the United States, have it making up more than half of their daily diet. So what can you do? Really, it just comes down to start making your food from scratch. I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people, but then at least you know exactly kind of what's going into it. That's the very first step before you start diving into, well, what's going into your flour and what's going into this ingredient. The very first step is to start getting comfortable with making these foods yourself. Previous video, we talked about the Kellogg strike, how we're all going to boycott Kellogg, and I had talked about frozen waffles, and my kids do like waffles, and I do buy a box of frozen waffles usually every other week because they have waffles 2, sometimes 3 mornings a week. But all of the other stuff that I make from scratch, their eggs, their sausage, etc. And I'm also looking to invest in a waffle maker so we can make waffles from scratch.
Is ultra-processed food linked to increase cancer risk, diabetes, and heart diseases? The higher the consumptions of ultra-processed food, the higher the risk of suffering from a combination of chronic diseases, including cancer, diabetes, heart diseases, according to a new study. A groundbreaking study has found that the higher the consumption of ultra-processed food, the higher the risk of suffering from a combination of chronic diseases, include cancer, diabetes, heart disease, known as multi-morbidity. The multinational study involved 266,000 men and women from 7 European countries and the University of Vietnam in collaboration with International Agency for Research on Cancer. Okay, now you will see exactly what is happening here. These people at the World Economic Forum, they advocate that we should eat some of these processed things. Now see what is coming out of this research. It clearly tells you, contradicts what they tell us. It bothers me a lot sometimes when I see unelected officials, telling us what to do. The research discovered that the more ultra-processed food consumed, the greater the risk of suffering from 2 or more long-term health conditions such as cancer, diabetes, and heart diseases. Specifically, associations were noted with animal-based products and artificially sweetened beverages, e.g. soft drink. Ultra-processed food are convenient, long shelf life, ready to eat, industrially manufactured food with added ingredient or addictive effects.
And we're stepping up in every way we can because we know that Russia must win this war. That Ukraine must win this war.
Ukraine will join NATO.
Truckers, long-haul truckers specifically.
Hell yeah, truckers.
Truckers, do you actually think you're irreplaceable? Like, this is capitalist America. You won't do it. Maybe even an immigrant.
Legal immigration are okay.
And divided by class.
Are you sure?
Watch it. Water there.
I hate my job.